Hey guys, welcome to the Soul on Fire show. My name is Noelle Agape, and I'm so grateful to be here today. We have an amazing guest for you today. He's going to light this show on fire. Today is Wednesday, so we teach on Wednesdays, guys. Thank you so much for being here on the live. Thank you for being on the replay. Today, I want you to sit tight, guys, and buckle up because I promise you we are going for an exploding ride. We have Greg Siegel here today, and he is actually going to light this show on fire. So grateful for him. He is a podcaster, a world-renowned podcaster. He's a keynote speaker. He is a performance coach, and he's probably just an incredible human and a badass human and one of my favorite people on the planet. So I'm going to bring him in shortly, but today we're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk energy. We're going to talk about connecting your mind, body, soul, and spirit, getting you to the highest version of yourself, and understanding that your mind is a computer and your body is a machine, and you can operate both. So today, guys, sit tight. Grab a cup of coffee, join us for the next hour because we are going to explode your living room. I promise, with Greg Siegel. And we're going to bring him on right now because we have so much time and we only have a little bit of him. And I want to give you guys as much of him as possible. So hold on one sec. I'm going to bring him on. Hey, Greg, how are you?
Unbelievable introduction. It's funny because I'm used to the one giving the introductions, but that was very humbling. I appreciate every single word. You have my word right now. We're going to manufacture magic together tonight, Noelle.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. So tell my audience a little bit about you because you and I have, we've gotten to know each other a little in the last month from our mastermind that we were at in New York. And you are just this phenomenal human, like absolutely phenomenal human, but you've changed your life in the past year, right?
Yeah. First of all, so much love and respect for you. It's weird. Like when you never know, like one event, one conversation, one connection can change the course of your life. And you and I met, and I'm so grateful for it. It was just an instant connection, and life with you in it is just simply better. So I'm excited about all to come. Just for a little background about me, for your audience who may not be familiar, essentially I was on Wall Street for the last 10, 11 years. And as it turns out, as I learned, making money doesn't necessarily equal success. So I was in finance, and then I had my own business. And like I said, although lucrative, I was very unhappy. And that's a massive understatement. It felt like I was waking up every single day and going to a job, which is terrible because we don't get to do this thing called life twice. So then the pandemic happened, right? And I just put myself in this frequency. And just a little bit before the pandemic, I had all this built up energy and fuel. And because I didn't know what to do with it, I started allocating it, and I ran a bunch of marathons, which was super cool. But I was never going to be a professional runner. It was just an outlet for me. And I'm very grateful for it because I still run. Just ran the New York City Marathon just a couple of weeks back. So I love running.
Wait. You ran the New York City Marathon with stitches in your foot or something, right?
Yeah. So another long story short, I got injured at his big speaking engagement. Turns out it was misdiagnosed as a sprained ligament. They actually found a tumor in my foot, but very grateful for the whole lesson and journey I went on, and ultimately got the tumor out. It was benign, crutches, stitches, a little bit of Achilles problem. And that's when I started tapping into the quantum, which I know you love and all that stuff. And yes,
my audience loves too. So you can talk all quantum you want. So.
Okay. Yeah. So just a side note, I was gearing ready to run the New York City Marathon to honor my pops, who's currently battling cancer, and also to raise money for American Cancer Society. But because I didn't have the physical training, I tapped into this quantum stuff that for the last year and a half I had been skeptical of because it was beyond my senses. And I just didn't understand all the spirituality stuff. But now I do. And let me just say this, I can't get enough of this stuff. Like all I want to do is talk about this quantum stuff. And make a long story short, I was able to get to the start line after the tumor, the surgery and all that, and run the fastest I ever ran in my life and have a really good experience. So very thankful for all that stuff. But just to continue on what I was saying was when the pandemic happened, I basically put myself in this frequency. And I know you love to talk about frequencies, Noelle. I just knew I was meant for more in this world, to put a dent in the universe, to make an impact. So based upon my personal development study for the last 10 years, I took two things, my gifts and my passion. My gifts, your audience will agree, is my ability to elevate, inspire, and make people want to take inspired action. My passion is personal development. I'm obsessed with this stuff, as you'll see. I love it. So I married the two, my ability to communicate with personal development, and I started my CLS brand in the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm very humbled to say it's absolutely exploded. One of the top podcasts on the planet, keynote speaking, coaching, all that stuff. And that's how it brought us together here tonight.
Oh, well, I mean, you seriously, sorry, you seriously blow my mind. Like, I honestly think that you are just such a beautiful human. And on top of it, guys, he's got the biggest heart of anyone I know. So, he, not only does he want to change the world, but he also has a tremendous heart and is incredibly in the divine masculine. And this show, we speak about the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and he embodies that for sure. I do want to first honor you for honoring your dad for running in that marathon. You know that my grandfather died of cancer. My mom is 14 years cancer free, and my dad died of a heart attack. So we have had the journey, a very, very similar journey with that. So let's talk about the fear behind everything and how that actually it really emanates out into your reality when you're living in a state of fear. But when you've conquered the fear, right? Obviously, there were so many obstacles that could have stopped you from becoming who you are today, even running in that marathon. But tell me about like conquering the fear and your relationship with fear, because that's such a key component to mindset and energy.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal question. And not to get too deep, but I know you guys love deep. I'm motivated by fear because, simply put, when I had that moment in the beginning of the pandemic, because I shut down my office for what I thought would be 2 weeks last March, who knew? And I put myself in that frequency. See, the thing is, Noelle, is I never had an idea because I was so wrapped up in the rat race that is New York City finance, being a business owner. And I
You need
think
to come to San Diego then. Just, right, sorry, sorry.
uh, you're not wrong. So I take full accountability with all that stuff, and I put myself in that frequency. And essentially, now that I had this big idea of CLS, and I could tell it like lit my soul on fire, right? Like the name of your show, to do this stuff, make an impact, and help people, and share my gifts, so to speak. Now that I've cultivated this idea, my biggest fear was actually not taking that shot. My biggest fear was going back, doing what I was doing, miserable, and waking up another 6 years, God forbid, even more, doing something that did not light my soul on fire. So I allowed myself about 30 minutes of imposter syndrome, as everybody does at some point when you're a beginner. And then I said, look, I've built 2 businesses. I've run a bunch of marathons after not being able to run. I do have a story to tell. I may not be that experienced with the online business space, so to speak, and all that, but I'm gritty and I have a big vision. So I went to work. And again, my biggest fear is to not make an impact, not leave a legacy. So I'm actually motivated by fear.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I always say that I have a relationship with fear, just as I have a relationship with you or with my children or anybody else. I really do understand that fear is always going to be there, but do you know that the exact same chemical in your brain that for fear, and you know, I run adventure therapy retreats, right? And so fear actually is the same exact chemical in your brain as it is when you're jumping off that cliff in Bali, right? So I take that and I use it in the same way you do as a motivator and driving force. And so what people don't understand is that we can really manipulate our emotions and manipulate our time and space and reality. But we're not going to go into the quantum world today. Let's talk about let's talk about how, when you're going through the entrepreneur journey, because you're this badass podcaster as well as a business coach, I mean a performance coach, and the entrepreneur journey is a very difficult journey. I left a 6-figure job just like you, and a very powerful job to start my own company as well, and it's a journey through that, right? So let's talk about business and your relationship with business and how it ties into really every single obstacle, and even leaving your zone of excellence into your zone of genius, and truly knowing that you could be really good at something, but it's not your life purpose.
Yeah, it's funny because, as any entrepreneur will tell you, like, trust me, spoiler alert, it does not go up in a straight line. Even for me, like, and I say very humbly, over the last year, my brand has exploded and many things have worked, but it doesn't mean that there's not heartbreaks, right? And setbacks and stuff like that. You just have to understand, like, when you sign up mentally to be an entrepreneur, like, buckle up. Okay, because there will be obstacles, there will be challenges, and even if you're extremely strategic and organized like I am, there will still be hiccups and things that you didn't foresee, or things start coming. But look, for me, like, it is what it is. I love this stuff. In case you couldn't tell, the passion seeping through the screen, personal development, making impact. And you know what? I love to learn, right? Like, my part of what I need to do is get better every single day and get more content in my brain so I can share it with the clients, right? The membership, the audience, and everybody, so I can help them. Like, Noelle, you were in the membership call today. Like, some of the stuff I've been talking about is new to me, like all the quantum stuff, and that's the beauty of it. So, look, for being an entrepreneur, trust me when I tell you, like, it's challenging because it takes sacrifice, and you got to have, a strong stomach, but it's worth every moment, every second, especially when you start hitting the success. And when you do have a setback, it's not really a mistake. You learn from it, and so to speak. So the only fear that you guys should really have is, if you do have a great idea and you do want to be an entrepreneur, have a fear of not taking that shot.
I love that so much. So let's talk about some of your failures, because I think that on the journey, there's always some failures, right? And so what were some of your biggest failures that you've overcome to get to where you are?
In business or in life?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll talk about both. Like, a couple of years back, when I got into running and the marathon, so to speak, I really wanted to break 4 hours, because in the running world, that's a thing, right? Breaking 4 hours is pretty cool. It's a nice accomplishment for a civilian, right? I say civilian as opposed to like professional runner. And so when I signed up for New York a few years back, I didn't break 4 hours. I failed. I ran a 4:12 marathon. And I remember crossing the finish line. This taking me back to a moment right now. Like, I'm feeling all the feels. I remember crossing the marathon on my first one, and everyone was like so proud of me, like my family, because I wasn't a runner. I had just started. And I remember being pissed off. Like, in my head, I really wanted to break 4 hours. And the marathon will humble you. You could ask anybody. Like, I've had professional runners, Olympians on my podcast. Like, that thing, it will build character, but it will also humble you. And I knew in my heart of hearts, those last 6 miles, like, I had never felt stuff like that before, and I wasn't used to it. And so I became obsessed with breaking four. And of course, I did a few months later in San Fran, and then demolished it in Philly. And it taught me a valuable lesson, right? Like, failures are part of the journey, and you could either be crippled by them or you could be motivated by them. And, failure and setbacks cripple a lot of people, specifically in business and entrepreneurs. A lot of people can't stomach the inevitable setbacks and stuff like that. So, look, it is what it is. You have to associate pleasure to failure, because it's not really failure if you learn a lesson from it. And in regards to the marathon, it humbled me, but it also gave me character. I knew I could do better. And it wasn't a physical thing. Trust me, as any runner will tell you, it was this. And it strengthened my mindset, and it helped me change my perception of effort and stuff. And I carried those same philosophies into business. So now, like, I use the marathons as a point of reference, right? Like, if there's a setback at a particular moment as an entrepreneur, building my brand, truth matter is it's propelling us. Pain is really protection. It's propelling us to something greater. And I really believe that.
So beautiful. And I always say that through your pain is your purpose. And truly, whatever is your strongest pain point in your entire life is what you're supposed to master and bring out to the world. I believe that with all of my soul. And so let's talk about the fact that your dad, right? Let's talk about your relationship with your dad and your parents, and how they were such an influence on you. And I know how important your dad is to you. And let's talk about the motivation while you were running, because on this show, we talk about that you are more powerful than you know, and everything is truly within inside of you. And what was going on with you when you were running that, knowing that every step that you took, it was for cancer, and he's battling cancer in this moment. And I don't even like the word battling, because that's just a fight term, right? So,
Yeah.
so he's embracing on this journey.
Yeah. Phenomenal question. So deep. And, like, I learned a very, very valuable, deep story that I don't really publicly talk about, but on your show, of course, I'm going to pull back and so forth. So a couple months back, I was actually supposed to run the Chicago Marathon in October. And I was talking about it, like, to my audience, and even I was on TV, and I was kind of talking about it from, like, an ego standpoint, right? Like, I want to shock the world. I'm going to, do something crazy in the Chicago Marathon. And then, as it turns out, what happened is I got injured at a speaking engagement, and they identified a tumor in my foot, which kind of came out of nowhere, but didn't really, though, right? Because I don't believe in coincidences. And so after we got that all taken care of and so forth, I had the opportunity to run New York City. So Chicago was canceled because I just had surgery and so forth. New York City presented itself. It was only 3 weeks later. It wasn't like it was 6 months later, but with the quantum and just strengthening my relationship with God and so forth, the opportunity presented itself where I would have an opportunity to get to the start line for New York. But this time it wasn't for Craig, right? It was for my pops, who's handling cancer as best as he can and working through it, and then raise money for American Cancer Society. And so because the ego was out of the equation now, this wasn't about me. It was, a bigger message to inspire and elevate. And obviously the CLS community, which is so strong and big and so forth. And sure enough, like, I've never felt more light and free. We ran that thing the fastest we ever ran, and we didn't have the physical training. And so the lesson that I learned is, like, look, ego, like, everybody has ego to an extent, right? There's things that we can do, like our perspective and stuff of that nature. I wasn't running Chicago for the right reasons, and I'll never be in that position again for the rest of my life. Now going forward, like, you do things like humbly, right? You do things for the right reasons and to make an impact, to influence and so forth. And so that whole journey showed me that when I was doing it for my dad and to inspire him and to elevate him, there's literally nothing that we can't do. And that's when, like, the miracles and, like, the quantum field and all the real-time manifestations really start to happen. So running from my dad, I mean, that was easy, right? Because I can't get tired. I'm running this for my pops, and I got to elevate him the way he's been doing to me for my whole life. And so it was just such a special moment, one that I'll never forget.
I love that so much. And so much heart in that story. And that's why I wanted you to tell that, is because it truly does lead into my next segment of what we wanted to talk about the ego and overcoming the ego, and understanding that a lot of spiritual teachers teach to overcome the ego, right? And I don't believe that at all. I believe you have to work with the ego from a place of understanding what it's teaching you and learning the lesson and moving on from there, because our souls are here to experience and expand. So let's talk about the journey of the ego and how it truly messes with your mind a lot of the time, and understanding that you're like I said before, your body is and your mind are machines, and we can program both.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'd love to learn a little bit from you on exactly what you mean by not removing the ego, but working with it. Because look, life is a journey, and I'm loving to embrace all this cool energy stuff, and it's really made such an impact on me, which has then been a ripple effect to the audience and so forth. But in regards to the ego, like, I know it's necessary, but you have to do things for the right reasons, right? And when I was running Chicago, it was more of like what I'm going to do. And once that I acknowledge that and I realize that, then it wasn't about me any longer. And I can kind of release expectation, right? We're just grateful to get to the start line and have a crack at this thing. And once I had that mindset, when everyone was asking, like, do you think you'll be able to finish the marathon, with no training, this and that? And I just said, like, I'm not making predictions. I'm just grateful to have an opportunity. And from that mindset, I knew in my heart of hearts that we were going to do something pretty special. I just didn't want to talk about it. And so from that mindset, I think that's what you mean by not removing the ego, but working with it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that's a pretty special place to be.
It really is. And everything in life is a relationship, right? And again, with your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit, it's a relationship. And so when you understand and you communicate it with that, right, it is a beautiful journey, as opposed to when you're working against the ego. That's when, you have to remove the ego. And that's the old paradigms of many, many years ago. But the new way is to truly embrace it, because it's a part of you, right? It is, and most of your ego is your inner child. And that's from 0 to 10 and everything, and all the belief systems that you've had. So your thoughts become patterns, and your patterns become beliefs, and then your beliefs become reality. So you made a reality that you never even knew that you can have, right? And so let's talk about that, and let's talk about will and strength behind not just working with the ego and the mindset, but you truly just had so much heart, right? But gratitude is the highest vibration on the planet. And you spoke of gratitude. Let's speak of how much gratitude you have in your life for all the success that have come in such a short amount of time.
I couldn't be more grateful right now to be having this conversation with you, straight up. And it's like, it's funny because, if you read, no matter what you believe in, right? Like, all the ancient spiritual texts, like, the one common denominator that they all have, Noelle, is gratitude. They all talk about that, whether it's the Bible, the Torah, Kabbalah, anything. So it's no coincidence, right? So, and it's funny because gratitude, like, these days, it's like cliche to say practice gratitude, but let me say it is very real. It's a superpower. It's our GPS. Like, you cannot be in a bad frequency or miserable and grateful at the same time. You can only choose one. Like, and for the audience, I challenge you to practice it. Like, if you're going to decide to be grateful for right now, this very moment, for hearing this conversation, maybe getting a nugget from it, or being able to do really anything that you want to do, or even watch TV tonight, or be with a spouse, or make a phone call to a family member, anything. If you choose to be in that frequency of gratitude, it just shifts your perspective. Like I said, you can't be angry or mad and grateful at the same time. And so if you make that choice to exercise a state of gratitude as a mindset, right? To be grateful for the little things, to have, heat in the winter if you live on the East Coast, right? Or for you guys, maybe air conditioning. Whatever the case may be, if you choose that frequency, it just changes your perspective. And it's like, you can never really have a bad day if you wake up every day and you just say thank you and you remain in that frequency.
Beautiful. And I do have a gratitude journal that I keep by my bed. I meditate for an hour in the morning and then an hour at night. And with that, at the end of the day, I literally, in my gratitude journal, I say thankful for everything that just came into my life, good, bad, or indifferent, right? And so nothing is good or nothing is bad. It truly is just an experience in this world. And if we understand that, then we can bring gratitude for everything, and including the dark nights of our soul, right? So we do have to take a quick commercial, and then I want you to have some key takeaways. Well, during the commercial, maybe you can think of them, but key takeaways that people can do. I know I teach meditation, I teach working with energy, but I know that you have some powerful, powerful tools, and I want to really highlight those when we come back from commercial. So today's show is sponsored. It's sponsored actually by my show and the Soul on Fire show, as well as my Soul on Fire retreats, and it also is sponsored by Craig's CLS community. So thank you for being here, Craig. We're super excited to have you as well. If you want to go on a journey with us, just stay till the end and we can talk about where you can meet up with Craig or where you can meet up with us. But right now we will be right back, guys, and stay tuned because we will be right back with more beautiful Craig. Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for watching the Soul on Fire show. We are here live, and thank you for watching the replay as well. We are here with a master podcaster and keynote speaker and one of my favorite humans, Craig Siegel. Thank you so much for being here, Craig. So today we're talking mindset and energy. We're talking about mastering your circumstances and allowing your life to truly live the life that you want to live. So Craig, in the beginning of the first segment, we talked about mindset. We talked about working with the ego, and we talked about really embracing coming from gratitude and living in your heart. Now let's talk about some key takeaways that the listeners can actually do. What would be some key tips that you do? Because I know you're a performance coach, right? And so a pretty damn amazing performance coach if you can run a marathon with stitches in your foot and you just got a tumor out of your foot, right? So let's talk about what you teach and how you teach it and how it's different than anything else out there, because you've exploded your brand in the last year, but you did amazing on Wall Street too. So it just seems like everything you touch, you are really a unicorn, and everything you touch turns to gold. So a unicorn in one breath and a wild horse in another. I say I am, and I think you are as well.
Thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it. Look, there's so many tangible tools, and that's what it's all about, right? Because anyone can give it an inspirational speech, but we want this to stick. We don't want like an inspirational speech where everyone goes to the gym January 1st and then the gym's empty January 15th. So what are some tools that you can start applying immediately? Very simply put, understanding and being aware of our thoughts. Understanding that thoughts are random, thinking is not. What I mean by that is as follows. Over the course of a day, most of us get bombarded with negative thoughts all day long. The greats, the legends, the people that can really make a difference, make an impact, the world shakers, they understand that and they block out the interference. And so for the audience listening, I challenge you to be aware and mindful that sometimes these beliefs that you've cultivated, like anxiety of something or limiting beliefs or scarcity mindset, you were not born with those beliefs. You've cultivated them over time, whether that be through society, environment, the news, your parents, whatever the case may be. And as long as you can become aware of that, right? Like, let's just say you have imposter syndrome about something, or you feel unworthy. Trust me, you were not born feeling unworthy. You cultivated that belief over time. The reason being is because you have disempowering thoughts, like a seed that was planted in your mind. As soon as you become aware of that, we have the ability to go back in to get those disempowering thoughts and release them, and then trade them out and implement more positive, productive, constructive thoughts, empowering ones. You are worthy. You do deserve to live the life you desire. Why not you, so to speak? And then when you change your thoughts, you start to change your beliefs. Now, all of a sudden, instead of feeling like insecure, unworthy, now your empowering thoughts are saying, I can do this. There's nothing that I can't do if I get the experience, right? I am worthy, and so forth. And then those thoughts change those beliefs. And you attached to this early in the conversation, Noelle. Those beliefs now change your behaviors and your habits, and that changes your results. So everything will always go back to the thoughts. And there's like a cliche, like from The Secret, and my good friend John Assaraf from The Secret was on my podcast recently, and we were talking about how thoughts become things. Every single thought has a frequency, and this is something that I just learned when I was diving deep into the quantum. Anytime you have a thought, you're laughing because you know how much I love this stuff, but you've been doing this for years. You send an electrical signal into the universe, into the quantum field. Whatever your thought is, the universe will respond as a mirror. If your thoughts are disempowering, the universe is going to respond to that. But if your thoughts are empowering and productive and positive, right, then you're putting that out to the universe, and the universe will have to correspond to those thoughts, so to speak. Just understand that like, you ever hear the expression, that person's a vibe, or that person's not a vibe?
I'm a vibe.
You're definitely a vibe, an approval one, might I add. So you're in a great frequency, right? You have positive thoughts, you have high energy. I want to be around you. Everyone wants to be around you. You make people feel good. That's high frequency, high vibration as I'm learning it. And so you want to make sure that you're feeding yourself positive and empowering thoughts. And if you're ever having a bad day, just catch yourself. Bad days don't have to be bad days or bad weeks. They could just be bad moments. If you have a negative thought, just become aware of it. Just say, that's not really me, right? Like you said, good. It's not good or bad. It just is. Take that thought, release it, implement a positive one, and it'll literally change your entire frequency. It'll change your beliefs on what you're capable of for the rest of that day. That's something that I like to talk about each and every single day, because that's something that someone can start applying literally immediately following this conversation.
I love that. I love that so much. And on this channel, we go deep into the energetic fields. And that's why I was giggling, is that the electromagnetic fields, and those that don't know, the electro is your thoughts patterns, right? And so your thoughts, you can control your thoughts, and the magnetic and how you actually receive things in is your emotions. So the heightened sense of emotion is, I promise you, whatever your thoughts are and your patterns are and your belief systems are, that heightened sense of emotion will actually show you and bring you in. But there is nothing in your external world that's not happening in your internal world. So if you look within, like Craig said, and then it's the electromagnetic fields, how you magnetize things, how you bring things is through the heightened sense of emotion, right? And so let's talk about that, and let's talk about emotion and how it's so important, because you can think a really amazing thought all day, but if you don't believe it, then that's not the truth. So let's talk about truly moving into the quantum a little bit. I'm going to push you a little further, Craig, into the quantum. And let's talk about your emotional body, because there is the mental body, the physical body, the emotional body, and the energetic body. Right now with the emotional body, it is such an important component because it's how you receive. So whatever you're feeling is truly what the heightened sense of emotion is. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your emotions, because we know that you wear your heart on your sleeve and you're a big pet teddy bear, even though you're like this big burly guy, you're actually a big teddy bear inside, right? So
Wow, you just profiled me real well, if I'm being honest, compared to most people. And you don't even know me that long, but you obviously have a great intuition. And so true, I do wear my heart on my sleeve. And to be honest with you, I'm a lover, not a fighter, straight up. And in regards to all this talk, like, I'm the one that should be asking you these questions, right? In regards to the emotional stuff, so to speak. And look, I don't know if it's a Taurus thing or my birthday or what, but it's so true. Like, I'm sensitive, straight up. I don't think I've ever said that publicly. Like, if I'm feeling some type of way, like, you'll know. Like, I don't hide it, you know? So it is what it is. But I like to stay in that very high frequency of like good energy, so to speak. And if I'm ever around someone or something that has the ability to infiltrate my bubble of serenity, I don't want any part of it, straight up. Like I want to stay in my zone or my lane, so to speak, of serenity and bliss. And anytime like something bothers me, I don't let too many things bother me, because I understand that like I have a choice if my attitude towards things. But let's be honest, we're all human, right? There's all things or people that have the ability to neg us out a little bit, for lack of better words. And I just try to stay away from that as best as I can. But ultimately, I'd like to be asking you this question. Maybe you can help me with this.
So your emotional body is one of the strongest components of the electromagnetic field. And so managing your emotions is spiritual maturity. And you and I have had this conversation, right? Is that spiritual maturity is actually understanding and moving from not just emotional intelligence, but also doing something and taking action and becoming a better person. And so like the person that says sorry all the time, but doesn't change their behavior, that's not spiritual maturity, right? And so I tie it in all the time with emotional intelligence, but the next level beyond that is spiritual maturity, where you actually take accountability for everything in your life. So there's nothing happening in your life. So say right now, you're a version of me, right? And my mom's a version of me, and everybody that's showing up in your reality is a version of you. And so spiritual maturity is taking accountability for everything that you have done to either hurt someone or hurt yourself, right?
100%. And to be honest with you, I love that. Just hit home for me, like spiritual maturity. Like I have someone in mind, like always says I'm sorry, but they don't change their behavior. So like everybody, it needs to do the inner work, so to speak. So I just love that you just said that. That really hit home.
I love that so much. So let's talk now about what you have to do in a case where somebody is just in like their business in a funk, they're in a funk. What should you do? Like I know I teach the mind-body connection, but for you, you do as well. And let's talk about exercise and what it does for your body. And let's talk about your food, because I know you're super healthy as well. But let's talk about actually with the physical body and how the neurotransmitters get programmed by the oxytocin, the serotonin, and the dopamine that shoots up from your gut when you're healthy. Let's talk about that, because it's so important to mindset.
Yeah, and also you mentioned serotonin. And real quickly off topic, one way to produce serotonin is to perform acts of kindness. And just like gratitude, kindness is a superpower too. So for anyone listening, you perform an act of kindness. Not only do you release serotonin for yourself, but for the person that received the kindness. So be kind. In regards to nutrition, look, I'm super healthy. I make an effort to eat structured. Like I'm on a meal prep. I don't think. I eat every 3 hours. It keeps my metabolism going. Helps me run marathons, so to speak. And fitness plays a big role in my life. I love it. I work out every single day, straight up. Like for me, it's not for the physical as it once was. Like maybe when I was seeking validation when I was younger and I wanted to look really good. Now I want to feel really good, right? And that's different. That's spiritual maturity right there. If I don't say so myself.
See, we're learning from each other. I love that so much. So let's talk. You said a big word, and I want this, I have to talk about it. So validation. So people that seek validation, like let's talk about the victim loop. When somebody's either in the victim, the prosecutor, or the hero, that's always the victim loop. That's the validation loop, what I also say too, right? So you could be a victim loop with yourself. You can be in a victim loop with someone else. It's the validation loop, but it's seeking external sources and not finding yourself within you. Let's talk about that and that power of truly tapping into your own worth and understanding who you truly are on this planet.
Yeah, I think we've all been guilty at some point in our life of seeking validation, right? Like, what does that mean? Like wanting to earn respect or love or likes, right? To make a comparison to modern day social media, like validation, like you want to be liked, so to speak. I've been there before, 100%. Like you get a new car, right? Or you get a new piece of clothing and you want to show it off. And like, again, not to come back to that term, but spiritual maturity. Like now I seek validation by contributing, by making a contribution, by making an impact in someone's life, and for them to come back and say, hey, what you said to me really helped me turn the corner, or really helped me shift my perspective, or you inspired me, or I had a great day after I spoke to you. That type of validation is what I crave now. And the only way I get that is to contribute and provide value. So that's where I'm at now. But let me be very clear and humble. Like it wasn't always like that. When I was younger, I was a bit more immature and I wanted actual validation, right? So I've come a long way, and that's part of the journey. That's how we're always growing and so forth. But now it's definitely more of a spiritual validation by contributing and providing value.
So let's talk about that, because that's, I think, the highest level of your vibration is service, right? When you have mastered, right? Everyone goes through a dark night in their soul, in their life, and I truly believe through your pain is your purpose, and they come out of the dark night, and then they're a master of it once they've conquered it, and they can teach it, and if they choose to teach it. So let's talk about choice, and then finally getting to service, right? Because service is the greatest vibration in the planet when you truly in a space where you're so full that you can actually overcome anything, and then you've overcome it, and you could give back to the community now.
Yeah, I dedicated my life now, right, to making an impact and serving, and so have you, and for helping people and so forth. And that's just what it's all about. And it's like, what fills my cup? My cup is filled most when I see people around me that are elevated, that feel like they have inspiration inside them. And what is inspiration? Inspirited, right? Like people are motivated or elevated and want to do something special, or just see themselves from their self-worth from a little bit of a different perspective. That's what it's all about, and that's what I get off on now. And it's funny because people always ask me, like, how are you so excited? Like, what are you on? Like, how much coffee did you have? I love this stuff. Let me be very clear, Noelle. Like, personal development and learning and helping people grow and fly and spread their wings and fulfill their capacity and potential. I love this stuff. It's not work to me. This is a privilege to be here to speak to you and talk about this type of stuff. So I can't get enough of this stuff. What happened? Where's Noelle? So that's that. Noelle said her computer crashed. So yeah, so that I love this stuff, guys. Simply put, like personal development, I can't get enough of it. Look, and also, like, I just started learning the quantum, right? This is all new to me. I'm tapping into something that's different to me, so I get to learn that stuff. And like every once in a while, like, I'll go back to the Kabbalah and the Zohar, which is pretty cool stuff. And what I learned in that is to be able to practice resistance, right? And I'll just go on a quick rant as Noelle comes back. Is what I learned in the Zohar and Kabbalah is this: every time we get that opponent in our head that's telling us to do something or to give in to temptation, it's actually an opportunity to practice resistance, to resist the opponent or the voice in our head, right? And once we understand that concept, every time we have temptation or a voice in our head, we look at it as, yes, now we have a chance to resist. And then by resisting that, we gain more spiritual light than as if the opponent wasn't there in the first place. So that's an opportunity to gain even more spiritual light. Don't worry, I got your back, Noelle.
Well, I love you so much. Thank you so much I'm frozen now. Can you see? I don't know if you can hear me.
I hear you.
My computer keeps crashing, which is crazy because that's never happened. But so thank you. I love you for covering me.
Of course.
And so I don't know if can you see me?
You look a little frozen, if I'm being honest.
Sorry. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm gonna leave and come back in, but keep talking. You're doing amazing.
Okay. So in regard to the Kabbalah, when you guys hear that voice in your head that wants you to give in to temptation, say, I know that voice. You're giving me an opportunity to resist and gain more spiritual light than as if you weren't even there in the first place. So we look forward to challenges. We look forward to temptation because it provides us an opportunity to really to show grit and to say, no, I'm not going to give into that stuff. So that's all. I just love all these types of different lanes, so to speak, right? In the 10-lane highway of personal development, Kabbalah, the quantum, NLP, all this stuff. I just can't get enough of it. It's just more tools for the toolbox. There she is.
Well, I promised my audience that they would get a lot of you today. So thank you, because they just got a lot of you. So totally amazing and wonderful. I do not know what you just said, but I am so grateful for you. We actually have to take a commercial break. And as soon as we go to commercial, then we will come right back and Greg will finish up everything he was saying. And I apologize for my computer crashing, and I apologize to the audience for having that delay, but we'll be right back, guys. Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being part of the Soul on Fire show. We are here today with the Master Greg Siegel, and he just covered my butt as my computer crashed. So thank you so much for that. Technical difficulties, but he was a master, and I'm sure that you guys have had an amazing conversation with him. So Craig, what did you talk about while I was gone? Because that way you can catch me up a little bit.
First of all, that was good because now you know I will always have your back until my final breath, and then even
Well, I
after.
do love you for that. Thank you.
I love you. So yeah, I just went on a little bit of a rant on other types of personal development inspiration that I have access to. Like recently, I went down a Kabbalah little rant when I was studying the Zohar and stuff because I'll try everything, and just some great nuggets that I was able to get from Kabbalah in addition to the quantum, the energetic stuff, the spiritual stuff, the mindset stuff. It's just cool to be able to like be open to all the types of tools, right? So not only we can help people make an impact, but we have them for ourselves. And you know what we call that? Spiritual maturity.
So good. So good. You are seriously a pro, and I thank you so much. So talk about really honestly one of the hardest points of your life where you had to face the hardest demons of your soul, and you had to make a choice between, was it on Wall Street or with your dad, whatever it may be, but talk about the hardest point of your entire life that you had to face your soul and truly move into spiritual maturity. Speaking of that.
I would say leaving Wall Street, especially during the pandemic, like starting CLS. Um, you know, I go way back with Wall Street, like more like a love-hate relationship, which is a telling sign in itself. But ultimately, like I had relationships there, and you know, I was comfortable there, right? Comfort is kind of like the enemy of progress, and I just knew that I was dying a slow death there, even though I was I wasn't even really alive. Straight up, I was existing. So it wasn't that the decision was so hard, but it was a little tough to let go. It was like my past life. It was almost like I was closing the book on my past life, and starting CLS in the pandemic. This is my new life, my new world, my new reality, my new orbit, my new frequency, my new energy, all that stuff. And so it was a little bit challenging at first, but honestly, once I put together the vision and the strategy for CLS, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was like, yes, you know, in regards to people and also chapters, like not really everyone or everything is meant to be in your life forever. Like there's a season and a reason, right? As our mutual
And
friend,
a lifetime, right?
yeah, our mutual friend Jen Gottlieb said that to me on our podcast. Like not everyone is meant to be in your story forever, so to speak. And so once I came to terms with that and embraced it, it was easier to let go and really step into this new Craig 2.0, 3.0, whatever you want to call it, version.
I love Craig 4.0, 5.0. He's amazing. And I am so grateful because if you never left Wall Street, you probably wouldn't be here, right? And so I'm grateful for that. So tell us about the CLS community. Tell us about your podcast. It's called The Paradigm Shift, which is one of the hottest podcasts on the planet right now. And it's pretty damn impressive who you have as guests. So tell us about that.
So we actually have two shows. One is a weekly Saturday show on Instagram called The Paradigm Shift with Dave Meltzer, where we have on celebrities and so forth, talking all things mindset. The CLS Experience is my podcast. And when I started CLS, it was one of the big lanes in the 10-lane highway. I was coming at the world was the podcast, and wanted to have big, recognizable names on the show, not for like an ego standpoint, but just to be able to share stories of the all-time greats. It wasn't always easy, right? Like, what was their mindset like when they were at rock bottom, when they had to face adversity? And so built the podcast up. We've had some of the world's biggest names, from Alicia Silverstone, Suzanne Summers, Bethany Hamilton, John Assaroff. Just had on Ed Milet last night. It continues to grow, and it's really special. In the beginning, you know, I was reaching out persistently to get big guests on, and all have the tables have turned. Now they're reaching out to us for exposure and so forth. So it's just such a beautiful thing. And also it's great to be able to give back to the CLS community. And I say this very humbly, but if anyone out there is looking to build an online brand or really a personal brand or anything of that nature, everyone always wants to know what the secret is or what did I do to explode. One word specifically: community. I think it's the most important thing. Your community is like your family. If you take care of them, they'll take care of you. As you continue to grow, you grow the community, you engage with them, you support them. then you'll always have an audience, right? And that's a support system. And so my audience is so big, and I say very humbly, and just growing rapidly and so engaged and loyal. You've seen it, Noelle. And so a couple months back, I created the CLS membership, which is basically a monthly subscription where we have weekly Zooms, which you were on today. But most importantly, we have a private group and chat. And it's not so much a community as it is a family. Like someone posts something on social media, they drop it in there. 160 people attack it with love and support. It's all about the networking, the support, the love, obviously the gems, the nuggets, the guest speakers. That's all great. But community is everything to me. And I think that's why CLS has caught such fire, is because I engage, I take care of the community, I show them love and support, and they show it right back. And you're nothing without your audience.
And I would even go as to far, sorry, to say, and you say family all the time. So let's talk about, because I know your family is everything to you, but you truly do feel, I feel like you treat your audience and your clients like family. I really do believe that. Like, I believe you go above and beyond. I believe that you are not just, a douchebag coach that is on Facebook, right? So like, that's the truth. Sorry, I'm sorry, Aaron, for cursing. My executive producer is probably gonna yell at me, but so talk about that, and talk about like just the difference of being on Wall Street to now having your voice. You're using your voice for service, and let's talk about that, because not that you weren't doing an active service on Wall Street, but you're using your voice. You're teaching people how to empower their voices, and you're bringing their gifts out to the world. And so it's such a different vibration. But talk about it from your point of view.
Yeah, I just want everybody to follow their heart and follow their intuition and really do what sets soul on fire, like the title of your show. I think that's what it's all about. And it's like not to sound too deep, guys, but we don't get to do this thing twice, right? Like you don't want to get to the end of your life like in perfect condition, like straight out of the dealership, like a car, like no scratch. You want to get there.
So bad. So bad.
You want to get to the end of life like worn out, like until the wheels fall off type of mentality. That's what it's all about. Give it everything that you got. And so I really urge my clients, my audience, my community, my family to really find what sets their soul and passion, and I can help provide clarity for them if need be. But I make a run at that and I made a post today on social media, which basically said like what we have been able to accomplish in the last year. But it wasn't
So
for me.
incredible, by the way. Seriously, like I just want to give you props for that.
Thank you. It was just to show the audience, like, if you say yes, this is what can happen. I'm no better, no greater, no more talented than anyone else out there. I'm just very, very passionate. And with passion comes vision, comes grit, right? Maybe a little obsessive, but I think it's a good obsession to have. And ultimately, like, look, there's nothing that we can't do. Most of us are just stuck living like a different life than really feels good. We're people pleasers, or we're working at a job, and in quotations, I write job. Like, if you're gonna bust your ass, like working for someone else, that like if you left, they're just gonna replace you on Monday. Like, do that for yourself. Build something special that really makes an impact, that causes a ripple effect, so that when you're gone, like your kids, or whoever it might be, they remember the way that you made them feel. I think that's what it's all about.
So my favorite quote by Maya Angelou is, "No one never remembers what you've done for them. They've always remember how they felt around you." Right. And so
Talk about energy.
I love that so much. And so let's talk about your soul being on fire, right? Because you mentioned that, and that's the name of the show. So we're going to tap there. So what sets your soul on fire?
Honestly, this conversation right now. I love this stuff. I love the fact that I'm interacting with you, whom I love as a human being. I have so much respect for, and this substance of this conversation, like, this is the stuff I want to talk about at dinner. Like, spoiler alert, like,
Come to my house. It's talked about at dinner.
I don't care about anything. Like, I care about my family, right? My blood family, and also my CLS family, and just doing all this great, cool, fun, exciting stuff. Like, I don't watch a lot of TV days straight up. I love this personal development stuff. It sets my soul on fire. I love watching someone have a breakthrough, being, oh, and the lights come on. They're like, you know what? I am worthy. And then they step in, take action, and they start doing things. But if that's business, maybe it's having a $20,000 month, or maybe if it's fitness, it's someone running a marathon, whatever the case may be. I just love helping people facilitate breakthroughs and reach their potential, so to speak. And just even like all this quantum stuff, like it's new to me, but it's so exciting. Talking about this stuff lights me up like a Christmas tree. By the way, you have a really cool one in the background. I love this stuff. This stuff sets my soul on fire. So when people ask me, how are you always so happy? Because I'm so excited, passionate, and grateful to be literally living in my vision, doing what sets my soul on fire, which is making an impact, helping people, contributing, and learning.
I love that. So, and that comes through in everything you do, honey. It really does. I mean, it truly does. I've never seen you, and I barely know you. I know you for like a month and like, you're just passionate and from your core. Right. And you do. So very, very quick quiz. We have about 6 minutes left. So tell us about one of the breakthroughs that one of your clients have had that are just life transformation, because that's what we do, right? We transform lives and we make magic happen. And I say all the time, it's dancing with the universe. And it really is dancing with the universe when you're living in your power and you're truly bringing your gifts out to the world, but you're living from a place of joy and you're living from a place of abundance and you're living from a place of love and wisdom, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's funny because with what I do, like I work with people all walks of life. It's not only business, although most of the stuff is business now. It's all over. But I'll give you a business example. I have a client whom I love, and she is awesome, and she's so powerful, so special, and so unique. And she's been through a lot, which means she has empathy for people. But now she's on the other side, doing very well. But she lacks a little bit of confidence or worthiness in her mind, and I've helped her build that up and realize that she has a story to tell. She's been in the trenches and she overcame that, and she's doing her thing now. She left corporate and started her own business, and so I helped her put together strategies and so forth. And she'd been wasting all this money, as a lot of people do, with online business coaches and really getting nowhere. I put together a strategy, and I'm sure you can relate. And this is what I was talking about in membership today. So I put together a strategy for her, helped her build a little bit of a community. She put together a masterclass, crushed it, had a call to action, and then launched a program and helped about 10 different badass women. She had a $20,000 day, not even month. And that was really cool because she knew she had the goods, but she didn't know how to organize it to really help people, so to speak. And she'd wasted all this money doing things and not really getting anywhere. And so I helped her cultivate the strategy, the worthiness, put together the program, so to speak. And now she's crushing it. Most importantly, yes, she's making money, but she's making an impact on more lives. And that's what it's all about.
Well, and I say that all the time, the more money you have, the more lives you can change, right? And so let's talk about that very quickly, about your relationship with money and abundance. And obviously coming from Wall Street and then knocking it out of the park immediately with what you do, your relationship with money is good, but teaching people how to understand their worth is actually direct correlation to what, the money that comes into their life and the finances that are in their life, right?
100%. Money is energy. It's a tool. People, they allow money to like control them, right? They allow money to like own them, like to be on this pedestal. Like, newsflash, spoiler alert, money is just a tool, right? It's just energy. And depending upon your perspective of it is how it will or will not flow to you in abundance or lack thereof. So here's the bottom line. Everybody deserves to have money flow to them effortlessly and abundantly. And once you understand that money's not yours, right? Like, it's not, money came from someone else, it comes to you, and it's going to someone else. Like, it's not a person, it's not some sort of entity. It's just a tool, it's just energy. And I would suggest giving money out, investing in yourself specifically, whether that's a mentor or whatever the case may be, a book, a program, and money will come back to you in spades. Trust me. It's the people that have the mindset like, oh, I have to make rent, I have to make a lot of money. Those people don't make money because the universe doesn't like that. When you want something so bad, it comes from like a lack mindset. It's almost like you want it so bad, you're scared you're not going to have it. Want money, and then release it, and then do the work and do what you got to do. And trust me, money will gravitate towards you more than you know what to do with.
I love that so much. And so abundance mindset is such a powerful tool. And that's probably my biggest thing. And I do want, guys, I need you to hear this, is that I've been doing this for 20 years. I have 5 different coaches. I have a spiritual coach. I have a business coach. I have a PR coach, right? And so I have 5 different coaches. You need to invest in yourself. Craig, you have a coach as well, right? I know your coach is really powerful, right?
Yes, I work with a mentor, Dave Meltzer, right now, and it's just good. And it took me a little bit to own the fact that like asking for support is a pleasure, right? You
Mm.
can't do everything yourself. People have done stuff before, have experiences. It can help you minimize mistakes. It's also just a different perspective to help you out, an unbiased perspective. So mentorship is key. I will be investing in myself and having mentorship in some capacity for the rest of my life. And God willing, when I have kids one day, they will have mentorship at some point too. So yes, I have a mentor. I think it's so important.
Well, I love you so much, and I love what you're bringing to the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing your gifts to your world. So tell us where everyone can find you. What do you have going on? What are your programs going on? Where can they find your podcast and all of your amazing coaching experience that you have?
Yes. So grab a pen because there's a lot. There's a lot that you can join our free daily texting community at Texas number 917-634-3796. I'll run that back.
And I'll link it in the links below. So that way everybody, once the show's over, I'll link it in,
Yeah.
and just text it to me because I'm never going to remember it. So
917-634-3796. I would say most frequently I hang out on Instagram at Craig Siegel _CLS, the same as Twitter. On Facebook, I'm Craig Siegel. My website, cultivatelastingsymphony.com. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, the CLS Experience just hit 1 million downloads, record-breaking podcast. And honestly, we just started the membership a couple months back, which Noelle is a part of. And it's not a community, it's a family. It's 160 people right now. It's growing. But most importantly, it's the right people. It's integrity. It's invite only. It's people like Noelle and I that want to help people, but also be around people that are stretching themselves and being world shakers. That's what I'm most passionate about right now is the CLS membership.
I love that so much. So one quick takeaway, because you have 30 seconds left, one quick takeaway for anybody that's listening.
Practice kindness. Go out of your way to be extra kind. It releases serotonin, which is that chemical in your body that releases happiness, bliss, dopamine, and so forth. But not only for you, for the person receiving the kindness. So you really can't go wrong. That, and I'll give you a bonus one. Anytime you're having a bad moment or you're not in a good frequency, just understand it's a thought. Get it out. Implement a positive one. That new positive thought will change your belief. It'll change your entire day and thus change your entire life.
I love you so much. Thank you for being on this show. Thank you for bringing your gifts to this world. I'm going to put you backstage and stay around because I want to talk to you afterwards, but you are magnificent. Guys, go follow him. If you can get mentorship from him, he will change your life. He's an amazing human, and he is one of my joys in my life right now. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being on my show, Craig.
Thank you so much for having me. We got to do it again.
All right. We got a lot of things to do together. Just the beginning. See you soon.
Bye.
What an incredible show, guys. Oh my gosh. I hope you took notes. That was so incredible. There were so many nuggets in there for you to master your mindset, master your energy, master your body, and understand that you are more powerful than you will ever know, that you have the gifts of the universe within inside of you and you all that you want. I mean, his stories of running a marathon with a tumor in his foot, just knowing that every step he was doing was for his dad. Everything is within you. You are more powerful than you know. The energy that creates God's source universe is through you and can come through you if you bring your gifts to the world. Guys, you are doing a disservice to this world if you are not living your best life. You are doing a disservice to your family, to humanity, if you are not tapping into the highest version of you. If you want to go even further on so many things, connect with Greg because he is amazing. Connect with me at noelleagape.com, or you can even come on a retreat with us if you'd like. The Tulum retreat is coming up in January, and it's just a few more spots in January. If you would like to come, please like, share, and subscribe this video, guys, because we want to get this information out to as many people as we possibly can. You are more powerful than you know, and I love you guys so, so much. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.